Hello, everybody. Tracy Mrs. JDog Flanagan with you here today. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president at JDog Brands. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tactical Treasures podcast sponsored by the JDog Foundation. Our podcast gives the military community a voice in the veteran space to share their stories of service, how they continue to make a difference in civilian life, and they share with me a tactical treasure that has shaped their journey in their military career, business, or life. Today, I am honored to speak with Amber Caron, who is a military family member with her father having served in the Navy during Vietnam and her grandfather having served in the Army in World War II. Amber joined Reese Across America as communications director in March 2018 after 9 years as the organization's public relations consultant. She leads the development and execution of internal and external messaging, brand management, and overall communication strategy. Amber guides a team of marketing professionals in creating impactful content that supports the organization's mission. Before joining Reese Across America full-time, Amber served as Public Relations Director for Portland, Maine-based agencies, Fuse Ideas and Industrium, formerly Kemp Goldberg Partners, for 15 years. Her expertise spans transportation and logistics, B2B communications, and nonprofit promotions. She has led and mentored communications teams for over a decade. Amber is a past president and board member of the Ad Club of Maine and has served 2 terms on the board of directors for the Animal Welfare Society in Kennebunk, Maine. Hello, Amber. Welcome to the podcast. I'm excited for our discussion today, and I want to thank you for your family's service to our country.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and I will pass that along to my father, who was not somebody who talked about his service at all growing up until I joined Reads Across America, and
Uh,
that has been a big piece for his healing, I think, as well.
right, right. Yeah, and you know that's a great segue into my first question. I was going to ask if your father or your grandfather ever talked about their service when you were growing up.
It's funny. I did not know about my grandfather's service. My grandfather passed away. My paternal grandfather passed away when I was 6 years old, and
Mm.
I have very few memories of him. Um, I did not know until about 10 years ago that he served in World War II. And he was a French translator because my grandfather's from Canada. Um,
Wow.
French was his primary language. Actually, French was my father's primary language too. Um, and he was much older when he served in World War II, and he went in and he served in France. My dad mentioned it in passing to me about, I don't know, it was probably about 10 years ago. And I said, wait, what? Um, and I kind of opened up a whole other discussion. So, no, I did not know that. And I've learned a lot since then. I knew my father served in the Navy as a child, but we never really understood what that meant, right? My father served during Vietnam, and it wasn't until much later in life when I started working with Reads Across America, and I've been with Reads Across America in some capacity for the last 17 years. So when we first started, I started talking to more Vietnam veterans and, brought up a lot of conversations with him. And I've learned a lot about his service. And I'm grateful for that because I don't know if he ever would have ever shared those things had I not been in this position and had the opportunity to speak with other Vietnam veterans. So I've learned a lot in the last decade or so about my family service. And I'm glad. I'm happy that I have those stories to share. And my kids now know, and my nephews now know, and we all kind of talk to my dad about it now, and he seems much more comfortable doing that. So he's actually my date Monday night. I'm going to the Marine Corps 250th birthday party.
Oh, wow.
He is my date, and he said, "I'm not singing Happy Birthday to the Marines," and I said, "That's fair, heard." So you can
Yes.
sit there and smile. As a true Navy
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. All
Okay,
right.
but he is coming.
Oh, that's great. I love it. And I unfortunately I think our Vietnam veterans didn't and still probably don't talk a lot about their service
Yeah.
because they were not embraced by the nation when they came home. And so, and there's been this stigma
Mhm.
around them. So I'm glad for your dad that he
Yeah.
finally was able to open up and share, because their stories are important and they need to be heard,
Mhm.
and I know that there's a big push with a lot of organizations, including Reach Across America Radio, with their new partnership with the Vietnam Veterans of America, trying to get the word out and make our Vietnam veterans welcome home, and feel that their service was just as worthy of being embraced by the nation as everybody else's. So,
Yeah, my
um,
my dad, I think his big thing that he's shared with me is that when he got home, they told you, you take off your uniform, and nobody met him at the plane. He got in a taxi, went home. It was like no big deal, and um I think, through we're at Reads Across America as a commemorative partner of the United States of America Vietnam War commemoration, and we've been with partnered with them for about almost 6 years now, and I've had the opportunity to welcome home many Vietnam veterans, and there's not many that are not deeply moved by that
oh,
gesture,
sure. Oh,
for sure.
sure. Yeah, yeah, definitely. So you've been with Reese almost since its inception. Um, and so, I love it. You obviously have a heart for service, and I would love to hear from you what it means to be a part of the mission of Reese Across America Radio.
I'll tell you right now that I'm going to try really hard not to cry, Tracy, because I don't know why. This time of year gets me. Yeah, for me, Wreaths was like most people, you start with a job. I worked for an advertising agency, and they hired us to help out. And I'm from Maine, I should tell everybody. And Mainers love to work with Mainers. That's a thing. And so at the time, it was just made sense that I would work with Reads Across America. I do not have a lot of history in the military, obviously, and beyond learning much later about my family's history. And it was that for me that first year, so 2008, I went down to Arlington, and I've told this story to a few people over the years, and it just sticks with me. uh, my job was to bring media, right? To have media come to to come to Arlington, and to get more attention for what the mission was and what we were doing. And I went down there, and this was again almost 18 years ago, and I had my my high heels and my pantsuit, and I was my clipboard, and I was ready to go. And first of all, don't ever wear high heels to Arlington National
Right.
Cemetery.
Yeah.
So
Right.
a lot of walking. And we had a great day. We had all kinds of national media, and by all accounts, it was a great success. I think we placed about 90,000 wreaths that first year that I was there, and not full coverage, but it was a growth. And I remember Caron Worcester, our executive director, came up to me, and I'll just never forget it. She said, she took my clipboard, and she goes, "I know you're very busy, but I need you to do something for me." And she handed me a wreath, and she said, "Go place this wreath and remember why we're here." So here we are, almost 18 years later, and I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I understand how emotional it is for you, because I'm a civilian myself.
Hmm.
And, but I'm very patriotic, and, the veteran, just the whole veteran space is very, emotional for me. I work with veterans every day, and I hear their stories, um, I'm passionate and love what I do every day. And it's emotional at times, because you see their sacrifice, you see what they've given up, and the ones who've given the ultimate sacrifice, and the families are left, and so it is, but it takes a village, right? Civilians and military community forging together to embrace our veterans and their sacrifice and their service. It's important. I have had Karen Worcester on my podcast.
Mhm.
Great lady. I really love the mission and how it evolved just because it was so simple.
Mhm.
And, but sometimes I believe God works in, we all know, in mysterious ways, and He'll take something simple and just make it amazing, and it
Mhm.
just kind
Agree.
of has this snowball effect, right? So could you just talk to me, just briefly talk about how everything got started?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that was a really great way of saying it, Tracy, because it really has been this snowball effect. Morrill Worcester, and who's our founder, he had extra wreaths. He had about 5,000 extra wreaths back in 1992, and he had uh, been to Arlington when he was 12 years old, and just remember he didn't serve and didn't have military in his family, but he knew the value of service, right? And he knew the value of being an American. And when he had those extra wreaths that year, he made a call to then Senator Olympia Snowe in Maine and said, I'd love to bring these wreaths down. Is that something you could get permission for? And she helped get that permission. And that first year, it was him and a truck from local volunteer and a couple of guys who came out. It took them all day to place 5,000 wreaths, and they put them in the back. And for those folks listening, the back's section 26 of Arlington is the oldest part of the cemetery, and they put them back there for a couple reasons. One, they didn't know what was going to happen, so stick them in the back just in case. And also, really, it was because that is a section of the cemetery where there's not a lot of visitors. There's not family coming to pay their respects because there's no family left, or they might not know that, you know what I mean? It's not people, it's not an active part of the cemetery. And what a better place to place those wreaths that for those, people who might not have someone visiting them. So they were there all day, and, as Moral or Karen will relay, she'll say, he called that night and said, we're never going to not do this, because as you start, you can't help it as you're placing wreaths. For anyone who's participated knows, you start reading the names like you just do, like you
Yeah,
read their name,
sure.
you read how old they are. I mean, how so many of them are kids. Um and so for many years, 14 years, the Worcester family did it very quietly. They brought 5,000 wreaths down every year. And then Moral will always say, God doesn't make mistakes. He'll always say that that was a mistake that first year, but it wasn't a mistake. So,
Mm-mm.
and then a photo was taken in 2005 by a USO photographer of the wreaths placed on against the headstones. It had just snowed, and it went viral back when things really went viral, and it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
um, and all over the country, people reached out, and were calling and saying, how do we do this? How do we help bring this to our community? And Wreaths Across America, and the very simple mission to remember the fallen, honor those who serve, and teach the next generation the value of freedom was formed. And in 2007, it became a national nonprofit. And um, that first year, I think there was, the idea was to send 7 ceremonial wreaths to each location that wanted to participate. And it was a live balsam wreath that had a flag for each branch of the military. Now it's 8, it includes the Space Force. And we still do that. So this year, so fast forward to 2025, um, as of this morning, we have over 5,500 locations participating this year. That means a location is a
Wow.
cemetery or a monument where there are service members honored and buried. And it means that a local volunteer has stepped forward to say, I want to bring the Wreaths Across America mission to my community. And so all of those locations are managed by local people who are volunteering their time. They're supported by local fundraising, or excuse me, sponsorship groups who are raising funds and awareness for placement of wreaths in those communities. And this is just, it has grown so exponentially. I mean, just to put it in, last year we had 4,904 participating locations. That's almost over 600 new locations in one year. And I think the reason why it grows, Tracy, is that people, they go, they have an experience, like kind of like what I was talking about. My first year, it sticks with you. You have an experience, and then they want to bring it back to their community. And that's why this continues to grow. So, Moral and Karen Worcester, our founders, would never have a million years ever imagined that this would be what it is now. There was no plan, you know. It grew because of the people. It grew because it sparked something in people across the country. And I think that that is a testament to this country because we're in every state. We're we're going to Guam, we're going to Puerto Rico, we're going to American Samoa. I mean, we're, Hawaii, Alaska, like we have engagement in every single state and almost every community. So it speaks to it, it matters to people, and it really has grown because of the volunteers and because people want to see those veterans and service members in their community honored.
Right. And Amber, would you say that the majority of the volunteers are patriotic civilians?
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. Like, I think I have to look up my recent statistics, but I think it's less than 1% of this nation has served or has. So if you don't come from a military family, you don't really know what that means. I mean, I didn't know what a Gold Star family member was until I started working with Reads Across America. I didn't know what a Blue Star family member was. You know, why would I? I am not, I didn't, my family wasn't actively serving. I think it, so when people say, "Oh, it's, a lot of military involved." Yeah, there's a lot of military involved, but it's a lot of non-military too. Like this is a great way to teach people about service who might not otherwise have any reason to learn about service, right?
Right, right,
I think um that's one of the great pieces of Reads Across America is that teaching tool, right? It's something that anyone can do. Bring your family, bring a child, go in, place a wreath, say the names, go home, maybe look up that person, talk, like learn a little bit about their life, see what you can find. That's a great way to teach kids without it being a negative experience, right? It's a positive feeling, it's an actionable thing. They can hold the wreath, they can place the wreath, but in that process, they're also learning. They're learning about what,
right.
you know, service is. So I think that it's that's the great thing about Reads Across America. I mean, we're going to see over 4 million people on National Reads Across America Day this year, which is Saturday, December 13th this year. Probably, we're expecting over 4 million people, a third of whom will probably be children. And we will peacefully gather as Americans of all different backgrounds. you know, it's non political, it's non religious. This is an act of service and honoring those people who gave us the ability to gather freely. So I think that's one of the beautiful things about Raised Across America that, it really is a something that people can feel good about no matter what you believe, right? We can all agree on serving our country is worthy of our attention and thanks.
Yeah, you learn a lot when when as a civilian. I mean, I know it was a learning curve for me too. My husband Jerry is an Army veteran, but of course, I married him after his service. So, being involved in JDog, I learned a lot of what I didn't know.
Hmm.
And, like yourself, my grandfather served, my stepfather served, my half brother was in the Air Force. But I was not, at the time, they were not in service
Right.
when I was born. So there's so much that you don't know.
Hmm.
Learning is a wonderful thing, and I think it's a great thing that Reese does is teaching this generation and preparing the next generation to understand what service looks like and what our military community has done as far as service and sacrifice for our country.
And what their families do. That's my thing.
Yes.
I think that was the biggest thing for me when I started talking to more military. The military family truly serves, and it's a whole family event. I have friends now who, our kids are now in college and going off to the military, and to see some of my, childhood friends sending their kids off to boot camp, it's like that's a big deal. Like I sent my kid off to college, and I that was hard enough. Never mind sending them
Right.
off to boot camp. Um, you have a new appreciation as a parent, right? To see people, um, the will it takes for them to be able to send their kids off, knowing that they're making a decision that's important for them and they're supporting them. But that's a hard thing as a parent too. And I've spent, like I mentioned with my, I've become very close with a lot of Gold Star families, and it really defines them, and it
It
defines,
does.
their future. And I'm proud to know them, and I'm proud to know about their kids and their husbands and their wives and their sons and daughters. And you can't imagine, once you learn about it, it's almost like you can't imagine not knowing these people and knowing about their kids, especially because they talk about their kids the same way I talk about my kids.
Right. Sure.
um, so I think that's one thing that I wish more civilians understood was the whole family service. It really is an effort that is deserving of our attention and support in this country for sure.
Hello, viewers and listeners. The JDog Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTS. 100% of all proceeds goes directly to the organizations we are partnered with. If you go to jdogfoundation.org, you can learn more about our mission, donate, and if you are in need of help, please dial 988. Our motto, saving lives one veteran at a time. Check us out, jdogfoundation.org. Yeah, yeah, especially, the military brats that grow up and travel around and the deployments for the male spouse. And I've talked to a few military brats who grew up over in Germany,
Mhm.
and the different lifestyle that is, and a lot of male spouses, what our male spouses sacrifice, how they take care of the home and the family while, their husband or wife is
Mhm.
downrange. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's been a learning experience for me as well.
Yeah,
And I think more civilians that get involved and understand, I think the better off we are as a country,
mhm.
understanding that service. So besides the Wreaths Across America Day, I know that Wreaths Across America have other missions and programs. Could you
Mhm.
talk to me a little bit about those programs?
Absolutely. How do I start this? So, people think about Wreaths Across America, the wreath. Obviously, the wreath is very important
Yeah.
because it's kind of our thing. But the thing that people don't realize is that when you sponsor a $17 wreath, first thing that happens is a wreath is allocated for placement. But what also happens with that $17 is that you are helping to support our truly year-round mission to remember, honor, and teach. And what that means is we have so many programs that are in place that are free and that give people the opportunity within their communities, within their homes, to really learn about our nation's military, what it means to serve, and to also engage with veterans in their community. So we've over the last 18 years, we've really put a lot of energy into this greater mission. And some of the programs that includes, we have a teach program, which is incredible. It's led by a Gold Star mother who got her knock on the door on Christmas morning, and she is a retired school teacher, and she does a fantastic job. We have free curriculum for youth of all ages from kindergarten to 12th grade. And it's a very character based service learning focus of our curriculum. It covers everything from, military specific holidays to, maybe specific units or stories from, military history that people might not know about. We have stuff for, every every type of teacher, and it's all free. It's all free to download. We offer webinars for educational purposes for student, excuse me, for educators and teachers and administrators, and it's just really growing. We're really proud of that. Also, part of our Teach program, we have our National Museum, which really is when we talk about our museum, it's not like we have a lot of things in our museum, but everything we have has a story tied to it. So it's more of a storytelling museum. It's a personal, somebody gave us something that meant something to them. And it's whether it was someone that, they loved that served, from a uniform to a medal to a picture and a letter. It's a really unique museum. I highly, if anyone's ever in Maine, encourage you to come by. Again, it's open to the public for free. We have our history and hospitality Gold Star House, which is a restored historic home next door to our national headquarters, and it's a free bed and breakfast for Gold Star families and veterans. And that house has been, over the course of 5 years, was just beautifully restored. Every room um, has been decorated in a period era of when the U.S. was in conflict, and just has stories tied to it. We have a lot of dedicated rooms in there to some veterans and service members. We have our Reason Across America Radio, where we share stories of service, sacrifice, and success, right? We share programs like yours with people all over the country. We're sharing great content and making sure that people understand that there's so many ways that you can get involved in your community and learn about service. And we just love to share those stories of our volunteers. It's a great platform for us. It's grown so much over the last few years, and we're just so proud of it. We're able to go to different events around the country and broadcast live, which is just an amazing addition to our programs. We have our Remembrance Tree program, which I think people, if you ever get to Maine, I hope you can do this, Tracy. And you don't have to come to Maine. You can do it online. It's free. You basically can have a replica dog tag made for someone you love who served, and you can pick a tree on the tip land that will be. And the way our vendor does it is that they tip the trees. They don't cut down trees to make the live reads. So basically, all we ask is that your tree, we are allowed to tip it every 3 years to make veterans wreaths, and it becomes a living memorial to your loved one. And obviously, we partner with a lot of veteran service organizations around the country to help amplify their message and share their stories, whether it's on Reason Across America Radio, on our other own channels. We've created some great partnerships across the country, and we're continually working to better support these programs across the country so that we can help them in their efforts. And that a big part of that is our group sponsorship program. People don't know this, but if you sign up as a group, if you're VFW, American Legion, any kind of nonprofit, you can earn $5 back for every $17 race sponsored through your group. We've given back over $28 million to other nonprofits in the last 17 years through that program. And,
Wow.
and people, I think, are always surprised by that, but you know, it would be, Caron, our executive director, will say it would be disingenuous of us as an organization who remembers, honors, and teaches if we don't support those programs who are doing that every day. So that's our way of giving back to living veterans and communities through that sponsorship group program. We have over 7,500 groups across the country who are raising dollars, not only to honor service members laid to rest, but to support their own initiatives in their community. That's just a sampling. I could probably go on. I'm trying to think.
Oh
There's
my goodness.
there's a lot. There's a lot we do. So people will say to me, "Oh, you must be really busy in the around, November and December." I'm like, "We're really busy all year round."
You're right.
We
It
got a lot going
sounds
on.
like it.
We got a lot going on, but that's the thing. There's always something you could be doing. Our partnership with the Vietnam War commemoration through our mobile education exhibit. We travel the country, and we're a welcome home stop for Vietnam veterans. We've welcomed home over 7,000 Vietnam veterans. We want to give people a reason to celebrate our veterans and our military families, and so we create those opportunities through our various programs. Um, and we really, one of the things we pride ourselves in is that everything's free. We are making these available as resources to our volunteers and to our supporters across the country. And that $17 wreath sponsorship allows all of that to happen, and it places a wreath.
Right. Yeah. We're one of your partners, our
Mhm.
JDog Foundation is. And yeah, I think, I recently met Jeff actually in person
Oh, in real
because
life.
in real life, he was in town for the Army 250.
Mhm.
in June, and I met him at a VIP reception in person. And I think he told me that there's now 100 podcasts
Mhm.
on the platform. And I was like, wow,
It's awesome. I mean,
it
those
is.
are and they're all folks like you who are sharing stories that mean something to veterans and military families and help educate people. So the more that we're able to give a platform, an additional platform, right? It's just one more way to reach new people. Um, we're really proud of that. I think that, as someone who my background is public relations, obviously it's evolved over the years, but public relations has evolved a lot too. But I think, for us having these own channels where we can decide what we want to share, right? And who we want to share it with. It makes a difference because I think that people really have curated their content channels, right? They want to hear what they want to hear. And I think that Rees Radio is a great example of that, right? Of sharing those service. And, we're non-political. We're looking to talk with people about um, what it means to serve and benefits for military and veterans. And I think that's a great resource for people. And it's free.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I have to say, I'm proud to be on the platform.
Well,
Truly.
thank you.
It's been continues is a wonderful relationship and continues to be so, and I'm excited to continue to get the word out about Reese Across America Day
Mhm.
on happening on December 13th this year. And I would ask you, can people still like get involved
Oh gosh. Hmm.
to
Yes.
volunteer, and how would they go about that? Like if I'm
Absolutely.
like I'm here, I'm located in Berwyn, Pennsylvania,
Hmm.
and I heard about you and I would think, wow, I want to, how can I help? How can I be a part of this?
It's a great question. So there's lots of ways. If you want to just go out and place wreaths, anybody can do that. You don't have to do anything aside from what I would suggest to anyone is to go to wreathsacrossamerica.org, our website. In the search function of our website, you can put in your zip code or your town and state, city and state. And what's going to happen is that it's going to populate all of our participating locations in your area. So then a map's going to pop up. There's going to be little wreath icons, and you can pick the wreath icon closest to you. And it'll tell you where the participating location, where it is. You can go, every single location has a page so that you can pull up their page. You can see what their wreath goals are for placement. You'll see when is their ceremony. Do they place wreaths before or after their ceremony? Are there parking, information? All the information you're going to need to participate at that location will be there. There are some locations that are what we call ceremonial only. That means that they don't actually place wreaths. They just do the 8 wreaths that we send, the ceremonial wreaths, and they hold the ceremony. Those are also great events to go to. But by doing that, you can, identify where might make sense for your family to go, keeping in mind, and I do try to encourage this, that every single one of our locations is run by volunteers. So these are people who are doing their best, and trying to bring their community together. So just keeping that open mind going into, especially this year, we'll have 600 plus new locations. So these are all new volunteers trying to figure it out. We do our best to help them be successful, but that's the best way to find out what's happening near you. And then once you get there, obviously, if they've reached their goal for responsorship, that's great. If they haven't, if you're able to help reach their goal, great. We appreciate that. There is a volunteer registration button on all of our pages. And we encourage people to click that just so that if there is communication put out by that local volunteer about changes, you're going to get that information. So we do encourage that. But that's a great thing. And I would say if someone's new to Reads Across America, my first thing is always go to an event. Just start by going. And then, maybe from there you can see how you can get involved in the coming year and see how else you might be able to get involved. Obviously, Reads Across America Day is an event. The mission, like I said, is year round, and there are ways to get involved all year round. in your community. And most of these locations really have a lot of community involvement, whether it's, local VSOs or school groups. And there might be ways that they might need help too. Um, so I think going is always the first great step. And there's obviously, we put a lot of wreaths out. This year we'll probably place over 3 million wreaths. All those wreaths need to be picked up. We are guests at all these cemeteries, and we want to be good guests, and we want to clean up after ourselves. And so there's opportunity for cleanup too. I personally love cleanup. There's something about cleanup that I look forward to every year. People are just excited to be part of it and feel good about the fact that it's another touch point, another way to visit, but also, leave it the way it was supposed to be left. So there's lots of ways to get involved, but I think that's a good first step. But if you go to wreathsacrossamerica.org, you can also follow along. You can find all of our social media channels. We try to highlight our volunteers and the great work they're doing. And obviously follow along on Wreaths Across America Radio, because we have a lot of great content and we try to really hear from our volunteers and, what's their why? Why are you doing this? Why is this important to you and your community? So I think it's a good starting point for anyone who's new.
I love it. That's great information and great advice. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for that. So, Amber, this has been amazing. I'm so happy you came on and shared all that you did. It was awesome. Um, but, we are the Tactical Treasures
Yeah.
podcast. So, we've come to the time,
Yeah.
Amber, where I need to ask you, what is your tactical treasure that you would like to share with us today?
So I have a couple of mottos in life. Not all of them probably are good to share publicly. um, for work, we always have just said this, we'll find a way. I mean, there is nothing that we can't do. We'll find a way. I mean, truly. Over the years, we've found a lot of different ways to do things. And you don't know unless you try, right? I mean, I've had the privilege of being and helping this brand grow over the last 18 years, and we've done a lot of things that didn't always work out the first time. So, but sometimes they do. You don't know unless you try, right? And I think one of the things about this brand and working with Wreaths Across America and this mission and the people involved is that it truly is this authentic grassroots initiative of the people. So I'm about as down to earth as you're gonna get. I don't get dressed up these days very often. Um, and I will tell you, I really relate to the people that we talk to, and I mean, we get some suggestions. I'm like, yeah, we can find a way to make that happen. I mean, it might be a flop, but we'll try. I mean, and I think there's such a concern in for folks, especially in business, to do everything right the first time.
I
And
can tell you that never happens.
yeah,
Very rarely.
yeah, very. It might even be like 4 times sometimes. And you gotta just have that mentality. I mean, we have the ability, we're a smaller team, obviously. And I'm proud to say that, my colleagues across the board are very dedicated to this mission. And everyone has different backgrounds, and we all learn from each other. But I really do believe we'll find a way. If it's meant to be, it's gonna work out. And if it doesn't work out, it wasn't the
Meant to
great
be.
path to take. So we'll try something else. Um, and then personally, my mother always jokes. She actually made a sign for me. I have two sayings personally that I use all the time. My husband gives me a hard time too. Is what's the worst that can happen? Um, I mean, really, like we're not bungee jumping here, guys. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, it's going to be fine. And then my mom always says, and I've always taken this, I think this is my mom saying that I've taken over, is it is what it is. I mean, move on, like just move on. And I think if you can go into life with those mentality, at least for me personally and professionally, I've found success in my life by, you know, we'll find a way. And what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
You know?
And it's funny. My mom says the same thing too. It is what it
It
is.
is what it is. She says
That's
that all the time.
so. Mine does too. Yeah. So
Like, I'm always like, "Really? Is it though?"
I know,
Um,
right?
but I do
Well,
think, it's a mental I think it's a, I as you the more life you live, the more you realize that there are things worth getting worked up about, and there are things that are not worth getting
Right.
worked up about. And I think that that's I think for me over the years, especially working with Reads Across America, I've met a lot of people who have had real life changing things happen through the military, right? And through service. And if we can do a small thing to make their load a little lighter, we're going to figure out a way to do that. So,
Yeah. I love that. I love that mentality. And my last question was going to be any advice for patriotic supporters wanting to get involved in the military community, but I think you kind of already asked,
yeah,
answered that. Just go to an event,
go
just
to an event.
attend.
And one of the things, Tracy, like over the years, so we've joked, talked about this a lot. I go to just so everyone knows, most years I'm at Arlington National Cemetery because it obviously is a larger event and there's a lot of eyeballs on it. So I go down there and I've waited in line with anybody else waiting for a wreath. I don't cut the line, trust me. I mean, I'm just a volunteer just like everybody else that day. And I have met so many cool, amazing people just by standing in line talking to somebody. And that's the thing about Reads Across America. Like, I think there's something to it where you're kind of forced to talk to your neighbor. Why are you here? Who are you honoring?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I think you can learn a lot about people just by standing in line and talking. And that's one of the things I love about Raise Across America because it really is there's so many different people and backgrounds, and you'll meet somebody in the military, you'll meet somebody who has nothing to do with anything in the military and just said, I heard about this event and I wanted to see what it was and how cool is this,
Right.
you know?
That's how it
So
gets started, right? I
yeah,
love it. Um, and, this has been amazing, Amber. Thank you so much for coming on. But before you go, can you tell us where people can find and connect with you and where they can find out more information on the work of Reese Across America and getting involved with Reese Across America Day?
absolutely. So again, my name is Amber Caron. I'm the communications director here at Raise Across America. You can go on our website at raiseacrossamerica.org. We have a chat feature. Those are real people here talking to you, real people who will respond. We have a great team of customer service folks who've been involved for a long time, and they love to talk to people. So you can reach out that way. You can ask, just say, I want to talk to Amber. I'm happy to talk to you. I look forward to talking to folks every day. I mean, especially if you're not calling to complain, but I'll talk to you if you want to complain too. Um, it's a good reminder. Just I talked to a Vietnam veteran yesterday for quite a while, and I he had me laughing so hard at one point. I was like, I really gotta actually have to go. So, I don't really know why he called me. I think I was the first number that popped up, and I ended up talking to him for about a half hour. And you hang up the phone, and you feel good about those conversations. So I'm
Sure.
happy to talk to anybody. But readsacrossamerica.org. You can find us on all social media channels. We're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Reads Across America official channel, on our official page on Meta, as well as our Reads Across America radio page on Meta, as well as Reads Across America radio. You can find us on iHeart or Odyssey or TuneIn or at readsacrossamerica.org/radio. I just encourage you, if to find a location near you. If you have any questions, our team, anyone would be happy to answer any questions you have. You can do a lot with a Reese sponsorship. If you want to you can customize it in honor of and memory of somebody that you love. You can send a Patriot pair. I do that for all of my holiday gifts where a wreath is sponsored for a location and then a corresponding wreath goes to my loved one's home. And they know, I mean, I do those for gifts for a lot of people. It's a nice way. I mean, I think it's an easy thing for people to get invested in. So I encourage you to go to readsacrossamerica.org, tune into Reads Radio, hear some great content. Um, and if you can, join us on Saturday, December 13th in your community.
Thank you. I love it. Um, Amber, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you.
time today and sharing all that you did. Reese Across America is doing great, great stuff. And I'm proud to be a part of the great stuff that you guys are doing.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Tracy.
so much.
Have a great day.
You too. Hello, viewers and listeners. We've just finished up an amazing conversation on Tactical Treasures podcast with Amber Caron, who is a military family member and is now the communications director at Reese Across America. And Reese Across America, in 2008, the U.S. Congress unanimously designated December 13th as Reese Across America Day. In 2024, over 3 million wreaths were placed at 4,900 plus locations nationwide by 4 million volunteers, including many children, supported by 7,400 plus sponsorship groups and countless corporate and transportation partners. This tradition continues to grow. What began over 30 years ago has become an annual event held each December. The Wreaths Across America convoy from Harrington, Maine to Arlington National Cemetery, known as the world's largest veterans parade, stops at schools, monuments, and communities along the way to share its mission to remember, honor, and teach. To learn more, donate, and learn more about ways to get involved, you can go to wreathsacrossamerica.org and you can see the many programs that are going on at Wreaths. Also, if you would like to find a Wreaths Across America Day in your town, you can go on the website. In the search bar, you put in your zip code or town to see the closest location to you. You click on it and you can see what is happening on December 13th, Wreaths Across America Day, in your town and how you can volunteer and get involved. Again, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Tactical Treasures Podcast. And you can find Tactical Treasures Podcast on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms, American Grit, and on our website, tacticaltreasurespodcast.com, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. We are now airing on Wreaths Across America Radio on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you miss that, be sure to join us on Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern for the encore. You can also find Wreaths Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. We're also proud to share that our JDog Foundation is a Wreaths Across America sponsorship group. For each $17 Veterans Wreath you sponsor, $5 goes directly back to the JDog Foundation, whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTS. You can donate right now at wreathsacrossamerica.org/JDog. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again on another podcast real soon. Bye-bye now.